Welcome to the Tile Happy Hour. It is not Tuesday, John. It is, what day is it? It is Tuesday. Oh, it is Tuesday. It's 12 o'clock instead of 8 o'clock. It's been a rough day. Maybe not so rough, but we are live at Coverings. If you're watching on the interweb somewhere, we are here in Coverings in Atlanta at the Georgia World Congress, something, I don't know. There's people walking by. Things are going on. We're so excited to be a part of the Coverings podcast community. And I am here with my good friend, John. Welcome, John, to the Tile Happy Hour at noon. So we're not drinking yet, but maybe we have a hangover.
Well, maybe we have a hangover too, guys. So it's the Tile Happy Hour. We normally broadcast Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. every week. Tile Happy. It's Craig Cahoon.
Well, speak for yourself, number one. Number two,
Tile Happy Hour. We're on episode 50-something, I think 55 perhaps.
I have no idea, but I'm not exactly sure. 50-something.
There. So we're at the Georgia World Congress. The show is amazing. This is day 2 of the show. Yesterday it started at 10 a.m.
And we're here for day 2, and got a couple more days ahead. So things are looking really good.
We're so excited about today. With a little programming note. Nathan was going to be on the podcast with us today. Rockstar recipient for the Coverings for 2024. Got sick on his way here. But I mean, we're upset for Nathan that he's not here. But we got a great pitch. Tell us about that.
Oh yes, so the wonderful dynamic Allison, all her fancy. So welcome Allison, welcome Sharon. I'll introduce, but I'll talk about Allison. So Allison is a dynamic person in the industry, knows her stuff, mosaic artist, influencer, really somebody that everyone in the industry really looks up to, just for her creativity and her being very genuine. We appreciate you being here and stepping in. And this is the first year that Allison doesn't have a booth. How many years have you been?
I think more than 25 years with that booth.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is the first time in 25 years you walked around, and at the last minute when Nathan got sick, you were able to jump in and hang out.
And I'm like free. Really nice.
We were so excited, and as we've been promoting all along, we've got Sharon with us, and Sharon is from one of our favorite vendors from Laticrete. Sharon, thanks for taking the time out and being a part of this. Nobody knows it but me and you. Maybe you've been kind of helping me in the back end, trying to learn about influencing and digital marketing. So I was honored that you agreed to join us here because you're smarter than I am, and just allowed me to learn something. So thanks for being here. And this is, you said, sort of like, this is kind of the first time out of the booth for you.
Yes, because normally I'm chained to the booth. We always exhibit here, so this is my first time out and about, being free to do other things. So I'm excited to be on the podcast. Free in a while.
Wait, so Laticrete doesn't have a booth either?
No, we do.
Oh, you do?
We do.
Okay.
I mean, I'm chained there too, but they let me out.
You had to
Just
show
for a little bit.
You had to show the
You have 20 minutes.
Exactly.
I called Ron and I said, Ron, we need to let out.
Just for an hour.
Wow. Well, Laticrete is just an innovator in the industry. Laticrete, we'd love to talk more about Laticrete. But first, let's talk about the Coverings show. So this is the Coverings show. Started in 1990.
Okay.
And
I did your research this time. You figured out the exact date.
And I've been to every show. This is my 35th show in a row, not this one show. I've been in the tile industry my entire life, and it's been an amazing run. Started out in Anaheim. It wasn't called Coverings, it's called International Tile and Stone Show. Then I changed the name of it, and it's been everywhere. It's been other places where it can no longer be held. It was held in Miami, but now it's too small. So it's pretty only like 4 venues in the country: Atlanta, Las Vegas, Orlando, Chicago. They can handle the crowd, handle the people. This show has over 1,000 exhibitors, and from over 40 countries, which is really amazing. And there's 2 other industry shows. There's Chevy Sama in January in Spain, and then there's the Tresai show, which is in Italy.
We're still waiting for our invitation to broadcast live at those shows.
Yes.
So whoever's watching from those, contact us.
Contact our agent.
That's right. Do we have an agent?
Not yet.
Just wondering.
All right.
But this show is amazing. Katie's here with us, and she's new to the product team. It's the first time she's been to Tile Show. We roped around yesterday. And even though Orlando is a different feel, there's some segments of this. It's like, okay, here's Spain, here's Italy, and that's the exciting thing about coverings and a part of that and our industry. And John, you probably know, this is the biggest industry event in North America.
It is, actually. It's mentioned the other European shows. The Chevasama show is actually not as large as the Tresai show. The Tresai show does have international people other than Italy, but this show, over 40 countries, and there's pavilions everywhere, and it's really a testament to the industry, how strong it is, coming back after COVID, and great attendance here. There's a buzz in the air.
Yeah.
And day 2 has started, and we're glad to be here at noon instead of 8 p.m.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And it was a little bit of a rush because we had a lot of tech to set up. So that's why I look a little nasty, sweaty. I don't know. But we're here not only to talk about the tile industry, but how the digital marketing today is affecting our industry. And I've always thought, and I love our industry. I've been doing tile work since 2000, and it seems like, and I want to get the panel's perspective on this, we're kind of slow to grow in some areas. And I thought that digital marketing was one of those areas that the tile industry kind of held back for whatever reason, and that's why as things push forward, whether we wanted to or not, I mean, we know that YouTube it's not cable TV anymore. People are streaming services and influencers and all the different social media accounts. And that is where companies are spending their money. And whether we want to or not in the tile industry, we've got to be a part of that. So I thought that's why this.
I think it's an important topic. What I'd love to know is a little more about our panelists and the companies. So I was going to ask
and
Sharon.
How that relates.
Yeah. Well, first I want to know more about your footprint in the industry. Definitely are innovators and have innovated a lot of products that have revolutionized the tile industry, because some of the setting materials that Laticrete has developed has allowed for products, let's say, of note, like glass tile to be installed like metal, 2 things that aren't porous, and things that need flexibility, things that need to be frostproof. But give us an overview of Laticrete, who Laticrete is, and what you do at the company.
Yeah, so Laticrete, and I will say Laticrete.
Laticrete.
But we always say internally, no matter if you say Laticrete, we don't care as long as you come find us, use our products. We don't care how you say our name. But the company was founded over 65 years ago from Henry M. Rothberg, and the Rothberg family today still owns the company. So 3rd generation. Family members are still involved heavily in the business, including my boss, Samantha Rothberg. She's 3rd generation. So it's great to see that it's still family owned. We still have that small company feel, even though we're globally across the globe in a gazillion different countries. And we've grown tremendously over the 65 years, but really stemmed from just innovation from the forefront, right? So like our founder was innovative in what he did, his philosophies, his thought process, building the team to kind of grow to where we are today. So I'm proud. I've been on the team for almost 9 years now. I did not come from the construction industry. I have a marketing background. I've been in marketing for about 25 years. Can't believe I said that, but it's true. Since birth, yes, I like your style. Since birth, in the womb, I was in marketing and joined the company about 9 years ago. So I started as a social media strategist. So I relied heavily on what we were doing on social media for the brand, specifically for North America. Our other business units have their own social media. Obviously, it's very different from country to country, what we do, what's popular. But here in North America, and then about 2 years ago, I became a digital marketing manager. So now I oversee strategy, website development, content, paid ads, influencer marketing now. This is a thing for us in the last few years. What else? Search engine optimization. I mean, anything. It's evolved tremendously.
I can imagine from 9 years ago, the digital part wasn't even as much of a. So we want to dig into that, but first I want to hear a little more from Allison. Allison is a rock star in the industry, and we'd love to know more about your company.
And 2nd-time guest on the.
That's right.
Thank you.
That's true.
So I'm Allison Eden. My company is Allison Eden Studios. We are out of Brooklyn, New York. I do creative manufacturing. I manufacture glass mosaic tile. I also make clothing, and home accessories, but really my love and my passion is making tile. We make it all by hand in our studio. I've been doing this for over 30 years now, and
I remember us talking at our podcast, and she talked about the first tile. She had no tile cutter. Tell us about that and how you installed it with what?
Oh, which project?
Oh, well, we were talking about Elmer's glue and a hammer.
Oh, okay. So, that was my first showroom. So, my very first showroom project, I was given a vignette to do, and I had no idea how to put the glass to the wall. So I just went to the 99-cent store and I bought Elmer's glue, and I sat there and I glued a little Elmer's to each piece and I put it up on the wall, and I broke it with a hammer. The problem was I was breaking it with a hammer on top of their floor that I didn't think to bother to cover. But I'm still in that showroom today. So,
but using better products.
Yeah, now I'm using Laticrete. So, and I love Laticrete. Right. So for 30 years, like I really have been, after my Elmer's glue, which seemed to work fine, I started using Laticrete and I never went back.
Yeah. we talked about Laticrete. So Sharon, Laticrete and Laticrete. So Lata stands for what?
Latex.
The latex, right?
Yes.
I don't know. Most people
in the South, I call it Laticrete.
Yeah.
This because I'm from
Tomato.
Yeah. But Sharon, being in the digital marketing world, was that I know it was a conscious decision, but do you know much about that from a corporate perspective from Laticrete, where they said, okay, we need to invest in that? Do you know kind of how that evolved? Was it accident, or did you just throw your resume in, or?
No, I mean, the digital marketing existed before I came on board, but I think it really like amplified over probably at least the last like 7-8 years. You know, our executives said, hey, yes, tile and stone is, I would say, is a little behind a lot of other industries. However, we knew that forward facing, this was going to be the thing, and we need to start investing down in our team, in what we're doing, start thinking ahead. So it's definitely evolved. Now I would say, you know, we've got more team members on board, and you know, our executives like Ron Nash firmly believe he was like one of the innovators on our space in social media, started this private Facebook group that's evolved. He's really been supportive of what we do and what we continue to do and test and try and fail and succeed. Our company is big on that. You know, to learn and grow, you have to fail.
And that's a
unfortunately,
a big part of social media marketing. You know, is there's not one thing that worked great last year that works great this year. It is an ebb and flow of how that goes. Allison, how do you navigate social media, and is that a conscious decision, or is it just selfies? I don't know.
Okay, well,
Well, what you had for lunch?
well, so I don't even have a computer. So
How did you end up on this panel?
I'm so happy to be here. Well, okay, so I use my phone for
There's a
everything.
computer in your pocket.
And
Yeah.
but I learned Instagram very well, and that was really my way into the world. And I post all the time, and I post all my projects that we're doing, and I find that they're so beautiful. I think that other people would like to see them too.
Right.
So I hope that what I put out there.
Well, I've noticed you put finished products, but you also show in the works. I think I like that the best. To see in your studio, you have a stencil of a pattern, and we actually worked on a project together, a cruise ship, the largest cruise ship in the world, Icon of the Seas, and Allison was part of that with me. And we did the ultimate family suites. This is like an $8,000 a night room, and we did some glass mosaic. And we just got a message from them, as you know, a few weeks ago. They needed to move some plumbing on the ship, and they need to replace some product. And they said, John, we just need to know, we just want to order a certain part. And I was like, everything is made to order. There was no such thing as replacing just those few items. They had to do the whole thing over if they wanted to do that. So my point is, it's actually exciting to see that yours is not mass produced. It's not on a template that's reproduced. You're making it to size of the space.
Right. Every project is made to order, and they're all customizable, which is really like a beautiful thing to have something really handcrafted.
And what's interesting is the So Sharon was talking about Laticrete. Pardon me, but it's not as sexy as the tile, right? Thin set, but it's really a testament to social media that a company like a setting material company needs to be on social media and have digital content to put it out to have a loyal following, to get information out there. It's almost easier for Allison and our company, Tile Bar, to put product out there because it's really
Pretty
visual.
pictures.
Yeah, that's it. But did you find when you came into the company, you said 9 years ago, was there a social media presence? I know you said Ron Nash started. And what did that look like?
There was. It was very different from what it is today, obviously. At that time, we were really just kind of getting into social media when I joined the company. So it was more about, number one, building up our follower base and then figuring out what do you want to hear about? What do you care about? And a big thing from them that actually still stands today is we're big on educating. So educating whether you're a user, a spec, whomever, why do you want to choose Laticrete and what benefits does it have to you? And answering, just being there to answer the questions, because that was a missing piece, and I feel like that's evolved over the years. Is now it's like instead of picking up the phone or emailing the company customer service, it's now they're taking to social media. So now it's all about building that community and social media customer service and how do you answer those questions.
I think the big thing that we've seen, I'm on the installation side, you guys are on the showy side, but is that edutainment is what I call it, is people are going to YouTube. It's the second largest search engine in the world, and they're seeing how do I do something. And Laticrete, you guys do a good job of showing how things work and educating the public, whether that's a contractor or a homeowner or Allison to get her away from using Elmer's glue. Those things are helpful, and I think we see success in those, and we develop that community. And I think that's what social media is. It's a community. Allison's got her community. I've got mine. John's got his, and then we all get together in a place like this and kind of figures out what's working and what's not working.
I find it sometimes a challenge to figure out who the audience is, because I think some of us have different audiences, but we have one platform. So like today we're broadcasting live now on Facebook, on X, on LinkedIn, and YouTube right now.
And Instagram.
And Instagram. And that's something that may have different users just based on the platforms.
Right.
Sharon, how does your company look at your audience? Do you have like a target audience and whoever else follows suit, or do you put content out specific audiences at different times, different products? That's a challenge.
Yeah, so primarily up until pretty recently on social media, mostly our audience is the installer. That is our primary audience, except for, I would say, a big exception is LinkedIn. LinkedIn, we have a lot of architects, specifiers, engineer, more professional type.
Yeah.
But up until now, it's been contractors. We are actually now starting to get a lot more DIYers, people wanting to do projects themselves. So that's kind of a new little spin on what we're going to do there. But primarily, that's where we've marketed our content to. However, depending on like if we're doing something on Instagram, we don't necessarily do the same thing on all platforms. Like we may put up a different image on Instagram than we do on Facebook. We'll spin the message a little bit depending on what we see. And we're always kind of gauging the engagement to see, how people are responding to that comment, and then pivoting, because we know like we could throw something out there today. We're big on testing, so we'll do a bunch of tests to see what works and what doesn't, and then we kind of pivot and move forward and kind of learn and grow as we go. So I think of like social media as like a big fishbowl. I mean, it's just okay. Let's see what works today, and what works today doesn't work tomorrow.
Well,
so that's the fun and exciting part, I guess.
It is. The nice thing about it is it's free. I know it's not free for your time and the company's assets and imagery, but it's not like an ad you're paying for. I mean, you could boost something once you see how it's doing A/B testing or whatever, but overall the platforms are free to use, so it gives you a little more latitude to test things out. And if you're taking commercial on the Super Bowl, you have to put a lot of money into the production ahead of time. You can just throw things out. And some people like that kind of organic Blair Witch Project kind of like, hey, here I am, I'm
But I would be
showing product.
I would think if you're out there listening, trying to develop a social media strategy, that your question is very pertinent. Is you have to know your audience. You got to define who you want to reach. If you're a small contractor and you're trying to build a following of homeowners, there's a certain type of content you need to develop to do that.
Right.
Because if that's your audience, but yet you're filming your lunch, there's a disconnect. So I would say one of those things, if you're taking notes today, is define your audience, define your tribe, and who you want to reach.
And sometimes, that's what I did. I didn't really define my audience. I just put content out there.
Yeah.
So I worked for Tile Bar, the A&D rep for New York. We speak to architects and designers and developers to try to find product for their projects. And sometimes I recently went to the designer's office to show hot new products. And I wasn't expecting the principal to be there, the owner to be there. I was expecting his team. So I laid tiles out on the table. And every Friday I do a little show on Instagram showing like a new product at Tile Bar. I say, hey, I call it a happy hour, product happy hour. And I showed a particular tile that Friday. The next week I had this meeting at this design office. And all the tiles are out on the table. And the owner walked in and said, hey, where's that particular tile? Your new tile? What are you talking about? I didn't bring it. I didn't think he would be interested in that. I saw that last week. I thought you were bringing it. So I didn't even realize this principal was following me. He doesn't comment. He doesn't like. He just was observing. He noticed the content, saw that I was coming to his office, and expected me to have that there.
Yeah.
So it just showed me that we don't know who's listening. But what I did was I put content out there, and you do get feedback from people, but sometimes you don't. Most it's silent. And Allison, I'm curious on your end, do you get feedback? Do you get a message back from people on Instagram? How does that work?
I do. I get a lot of messages, a lot of really beautiful, positive messages. And I've made a lot of lovely friends from Instagram. And I really find that it's such a great way to connect creatives. And in a way that before Instagram or social media, it was very hard to find each other. It was very hard to find your people. I'm in a trade that it's not so wildly known. I mean, but with us it is. But I mean, but it's so nice when you're meeting people that have the same interests and do like to do the same thing. So I think it's wonderful.
I love the comments. That's I do a lot of education content, and I'll get emails from random homeowners that'll say, hey, I sealed this with this and now it's dirty, how do I fix it? And I'm up at 3 a.m. going, I don't know, I gotta give them the right answer. And I'm doing research but the feedback is exciting for me because I care about the industry and I want them to have the best product they can. And I think all of us sitting at this table do. And I would say anybody out there listening or in the audience today, if you have favorite people that you like to watch, comment, subscribe, and like their stuff, because it does help, and it gives them a boost and to keep going. Because sometimes I'm like, I'm not gonna post anything. There ain't nobody watching it anyway. And that's just being kind of out on your own. I don't have to do it day in and day out like Sharon does. And I'm assuming your comments are probably across the board, just a lot of them, and probably everything from people adamantly disagreeing with you to people that are just totally confused.
I mean, we get a lot of questions, especially when they're working on a project. How do I do this? What's the best way to install this? And we're fortunate that we have, built up a pretty good community that does respond. And what's interesting is a lot of times, one person installs this way, another person installs this way. So there's some banter back and forth that could be fun and interesting to watch, because there is various different ways to install a thing and they're all correct. So that's interesting to watch that conversation. But we do get great feedback. I mean, I would say, like everyone knows here with social media, there are challenges with social media as well with comments. But I would say, ditto what Allison said, I would say probably 95% of what we see on social media is positive. People are genuinely trying to help and kind of lift people up. So I think that's a great thing about where social media is morphed today.
Yeah. Well, first, there's always haters and there's always crazy people out there, right? Exactly. I'd like to talk about the future of influencers and the future of just the industry, but we want to welcome questions. If anyone here has a comment or a question, just raise your hand. And yes, Steve Wallace.
I just posted in the comments. Laticrete recently started sponsoring an auto racing team, BMW Auto Race Track Racing. How much of that is for in-person advertising? When you make this decision to make that commitment, how much is that for in-person advertising versus being able to create digital content to post on social media?
Craig, you want to summarize the question briefly?
I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think what he's saying that you've made a very public, old school, practical investment in advertising with a racing company. Is that done for that marketing share, or is it done to help you create content?
Correct.
Yeah, I would say honestly both. The driver of the race car that we're sponsoring is the grandson of the founder of Laticrete. It's family. He drives this. Last year, he drove the beautiful Ferrari that some of you may have seen in our booth. This year, he's driving a BMW. So we are sponsoring that. Obviously, it is a little old school advertising, right, for people that are at the event seeing it, but also they are creating a lot of content for us that we reshare on our pages as well. So it's a little bit of both. A lot of people love cars or into racing, so it seemed like a win-win for us as well, and get to support the family of the founding companies.
Well, it's a beautiful car. I think
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
One question for everybody on the
Ross,
panel.
welcome.
Thank you, John. John, just in a minute, mentioned basically the concept of paid media versus organic flow. Is there a formula, or is there how do you decide this is going to be a paid media post, or this is going to be, I'm going to just count on organic, engagement? What's the thought process behind the two different, platforms or approaches?
You probably have a better experience on. Well, I guess all of yours is paid in a certain way.
So Craig, maybe we could summarize the question because I don't know if they picked up.
Okay. I think that let me try to summarize. Is how do you make a decision whether it's a paid sponsored ad or just an organic post, or maybe even an organic partnership?
Yeah, I'll answer that. So not everything we do is paid. Primarily, the majority of the stuff we do is organic. We're not boosting. However, we do have an initiative and strategy to boost certain things as well. Usually what we do is if something is taken off organically and we see the engagement coming up, and we'll say, hey, this is a great post to also boost as well. There is a little bit of, we do have strategic initiatives that we said no matter what this is boosted, we want to make sure that our audience is aware of these certain things that are happening, especially around new product launches, key company initiatives that will always get boosted to our audience to make sure we see it. But I think to the point is, once we see that, for instance, we put up a post the other day, we're working with an influencer, they're a DIY influencer, they're homesteaders, they're building a shower. We put it up organically, we reshared their content, and we said, wow, this is really doing well. We're getting a lot of questions, feedback on it. So we said, okay, we weren't originally going to boost this, but let's do it because we want to reach more. We saw that people were engaging and liking it. So that's what we did.
So judge it and engage it. Okay.
So Allison, what's interesting is Allison's our own influencer, and I mean that very endearingly. But do you see her hiring an influencer in addition to herself? I mean, because your company.
Let's pose that as a question: is if you're a small company like Allison, whether it's a design company or a contracting company, is it important to engage an influencer and spend money outside?
Because that's where our industry
and
now
I
is.
think that's what people probably want to hear.
Do you feel, Sharon, that companies like a small company that has their own influencing opportunities themselves, would they consider hiring on the outside?
That's a tough question. I don't think I I don't necessarily think as a small company you need an influencer. I like the idea of trying to be your own influencer if possible,
Kind of like
and building that content that people engage with and want to follow it, rather than say hiring someone to do it.
Would you say similar to Nathan if he was here, but like his, I don't know what his long-term goal is, but he works for a living and he posts and he finds deals. Would you say that's a good model to follow as a small company?
I think if you like doing that kind of thing, I mean, there's a lot of obviously new influencers in the space now that kind of have built themselves up and are trying to get more into that type of space where it's like they know they're creating and putting up good content and figuring, okay, well, who else can utilize this content? What brand could I possibly partnership and work with? So I think it's a good strategy if that's what you like doing, because not everybody likes being in front of the camera.
Right. Well, it's all about content. You need content somewhere. I want to kind of comment on Eberly and Collard, who's the PR firm for Coverings. They're kind of behind the scenes here. We're in the press office, and we see they're running tours with influencers that are here. We may not even realize it. They have people hired. I don't know if they'll just be saying this or not, but they have people hired. They're taking them on tours, and then they're taking their own imagery and they're doing their own videos, and they're out there in the interweb probably tomorrow or next week posting things about the coverage show. And just like, I mean, who here has been influenced by somebody at a restaurant eating and then you go there, right? I mean, those are influences, right?
Taco Bell.
Yeah, exactly.
There.
They take the same 5 ingredients and made it
Yeah,
something new.
it's amazing.
And you're impressed.
I'm there.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Food's different in North Carolina than New York. That's pretty exciting to you. But I want to, this is Eberly and Collard posted this on social media. They said, content reigns supreme in today's digital era. That's why fostering robust relationships with creators has become a critical component of effective digital marketing and social media strategies.
Yeah.
And and the top 3 trends that they see for the relationship to PR is to build stronger focus on importance of SEO, increase in B2B influencer marketing, which is what we're talking about, and a blend of PR and advertising. We really haven't talked about PR. And would you consider social media advertising? Where does that fit? What do you think, Allison?
I think it is advertising.
Yeah.
I mean, you're showing the world what you do and what you believe in, and you're showing your company, and it's a great way to get out there and go back and forth with people so they see what you do. I think social media is so important, and it's nice to have people follow you. I mean, in the last 2 years, I guess the content that we've been putting out, we've been invited to the greatest parties just to put content out.
If nothing else.
Yeah, it's like gotten presents in the mail just because you can put it on your social media, which I think it could also be very addicting. Like, wow, this beautiful gift came. I have to get it. I have to thank them. Like, so it's a lot of fun as well. So
do you remember the time when there was no social media? You've been in business for 30 years, you said, right?
Yeah.
What did you advertise in the past?
I've never once advertised ever. I've never. It was all very organic.
Wow.
Allison, have you been able to directly track social media to a sale?
Yeah. Oh, and some amazing sales.
Yeah. And I think that's, the title is content that clicks, and clicks equal cash.
Right, exactly.
And, most of us are here because we're in a business and we make money, and there's a pathway, but it's not an easy pathway.
It's true.
To get from a post, whether it's personal or bought, to equal that into dollars. So as a large corporation, how do you see that? I almost see it like lost money, and like you said, fishing. Nobody likes fishing. Everybody just wants to catch. That's why I don't fish, because I don't catch anything. And that's kind of what I feel like my social media campaign would be.
It definitely is challenging, especially for Laticrete, because we are, we sell through distributors like yourself. So for us to track from a social media effort that we made a sale is almost nearly impossible, right? However, we track a lot of other things. So we track the engagement. We track how many people all of a sudden start I mean, a great side benefit is, if we run a paid post, all of a sudden we see like, all of a sudden we've got a lot of new likes now following our page to see more content. So that's obviously a bonus. And then we also look at, we get a lot of inquiries of like, oh, I'm interested in this. Let me ask a question on how would I use this for XYZ project. So to me, that is another indication that the intent to maybe purchase down the line is there, right? Because we can't track that direct ROI. But that's the challenge with marketing in general in our space.
How important is the analytics tracking? I'm assuming you probably have somebody that does that that's all they do.
Well, it's between myself and our social media specialist. We're constantly looking at metrics, seeing how things are performing, especially when you do put money behind things. Obviously, we want to make sure that it works. So that if it doesn't, we just turn it off. Okay, that's not working as we expected. Okay, let's turn it off.
Allison, do you ever look at analytics?
Never. Never.
But I look at it,
True, honest.
and I
Just put it out there.
I want to understand the analytics, and I'll pull up my YouTube analytics, and I have a program, and it's like I just get frustrated. And I'm like, I don't know what any of this means. And as a creator of some sorts, it can be frustrating. And how do you push past that? And I've heard a lot, if you don't like doing it, it doesn't matter what the analytics say.
It's true. We have 2 questions at least. What's your first name?
Diane.
Diane, yes.
So my family and I operate a tile installation business. So we sell a service, which is a little bit different than selling a product. Would you say that investing time into posting on social media is an effective way to create leads? Because I always saw it as a way to legitimize my business. Because if I get a lead from somewhere else, you can go to social media and see that I'm real, not like a scammer. But do you think that it's if I post differently, it's a proper way to gain leads through social media?
I think so. I think it's just very important just for people to see what you're doing and where you're, people in their location will also see. And it's almost like a web. Really,
Well, speaking of the web, I think there's 2 parts to that. Yes, you'd love to have somebody find you and want to consider using your services. That's number 1. But number 2, that's a maybe. Is that going to happen, right? But what is for sure going to happen is if somebody you already engaged with, a customer that's you're already dealing with, maybe knew about you or recommended to you, they're probably going to go to social media and look for you. And if you're not there, that could be a negative. So
it's legitimacy.
Yeah, so it almost, people expect that for you to be there. So if you have a social media presence, you're talking to new people, but this may be someone fully recommended to you and referred to you, and you have them in your pocket. And the flip side of that is you can have content that's on there that's terrible, or just really bad looking, or just not appropriate, and that could turn somebody off. So always remember that I always feel like 90% of your clients are going to look for you on social media. So you have to have that image be consistent, have consistency, and in the process, hopefully gain new people. That's what I
think one of the things you said is creating that web, because if you're creating the content, your customer, and if part of the process, hey, you're my spotlight this week, and then they're sharing it, and their friends are seeing, hey, this is what they did for me, and then you're creating that body of influence. So when those friends, however far down the line, I remember they did a tile bathroom, and they trickle back through it, and they'll find it. Like Sharon said, it's hard to track it, but that body of influence comes from that.
It's true. It's a great question.
Yeah, great question.
Joe Hecker?
Yeah, so to answer your question, yes. And then to answer the question about should a brand like Allison Eden's leverage other influencers, yes. And the reason is social media, my second tech platform, my first 2 tech platforms were social media platforms. My advisors were Jeff Weiner from LinkedIn, Nick Bell, the VP of Snapchat, and Michael Jones, the founder of MySpace. And what we do not talk about in the industry is that it's not social media. It's social media networks. These are designed for you to leverage networks. It was designed to create communities and leverage your customers to tell their stories and have them and feature them and share their stories and give updates. It was fluid. It's not advertising. Social media is not advertising. It's typically used that way, but it's designed to leverage for network. So in Allison's case, yes, leveraging other people. You'll see where other people use her products and they do videos. That is leveraging their network to bring more awareness. So yes, brands should be leveraging social media as a network, not as an advertising platform.
I agree, and I think one of the things that turns a lot of people off is when you see, I mean, everybody, when you see that ad come up, what do? Swipe away. But when you see Allison come up talking about her amazing product, then you watch that. So I think that's a great distinction.
And we're talking about platforms, how things evolve, like Facebook. Joe and I have a little bit of a history. Joe, you might want to take briefly about how it's evolved into the Facebook, from Facebook Lives, how it's evolved.
I mean, so social media has evolved. You and I have been on where Facebook cut live feeds in general. They in 2020, as COVID broke out, they cut the ability to add a guest because they were pushing reels. So the social platforms are always changing, and they don't really give us the updates, which is why it's so important to leverage the extended networks, and also. And I love that the all the markets and all the trade shows, and they haven't really leaned in. Here's a suggestion: instead of the design curated tours, let creatives go get creative. Just give them the task to run about and go create content in whatever way they want to. That's going to leverage creatives like you guys doing the podcast. Imagine if they just set you loose. That would be amazing. So we still.
And to add to that, their followers are following them because of their creativity. So giving them a guide is really changing their platform.
Yeah,
That's one of the things that Sharon and I talked about early on when I was trying to leverage some influencers for Tile Bar. I asked Sharon, and I said, I feel like I just want them to be themselves with my product. And I feel like anytime somebody's non-sincere, it comes across. And you said yes.
Right. And that's why you choose to work with certain influencers, because you appreciate the content that they're already putting out, and then you want to be a part of it. You're not trying to tell them or stifle them into your own narrative. It's their narrative, and they're helping to tell your story.
So we only have a few minutes left. So before we go, what do you want to say?
Well, I wanted to, how'd you know I had something to say?
Because I can tell your body language. I'm not done.
I find it really cool that a company like Laticrete, big international company, has the resources to do whatever advertising, promotion, paid, whatever graphics you want, videos. But to some degree, you need an influencer who are just like boots on the ground, like Nathan's an installer.
Yeah.
Like you can't take someone from your warehouse or from your sales team and go out there and be that influencer.
That's why I can't make that content.
Yeah.
You know, my how-to content's not going to be the same as his because he's living it.
And I find I just love the dichotomy of that, where you have a big manufacturer and some quirky guy with a hat and, you know, who's got a funny way of talking and running around and saying things. They're on like equal playing field, and actually more important in some ways, because you can't fake an influence. You have to just find the right person who could represent, not even representing your brand, but you know who they are, you know what they represent. If that fits, you let them roll, be creative, let them run with it. And I think that's pretty exciting. We're going to see, I think, a lot of that.
Yeah.
A lot of that going.
All right. So I want us to go around and let's say what's your favorite platform and what you think is the upcoming platform. John, I'll start with you.
Well, my favorite is still Instagram. I avoid TikTok, so I'm not on TikTok.
I didn't ask you to say anything negative.
It's not negative. I'm just telling you what I'm avoiding. I think YouTube really, like you said, it's the second largest search engine. How many times a day does someone type in how to ... right? And the content lives on YouTube. What we're broadcasting now on Instagram, it comes and goes, it disappears. I feel that YouTube is, and I don't know, I'm going to say LinkedIn also. LinkedIn is overlooked. Because every professional that's out there, executive, they're not necessarily on Facebook, but they're not on somebody. So look, 95% of everybody who's in business is on LinkedIn, and I find that to be pretty popular.
Allison?
Well, Instagram is my favorite. I love it, love it, love it. I'm on it, all the time. I think it's just such a great connector. And then LinkedIn, I think, has been very wonderful for my business because I feel like the architects and designers have found me. And when I post, I get a lot of likes and comments, and so I love that. And I also love YouTube. I've started to go on YouTube a lot, so LinkedIn, YouTube, they're
Sharon?
I feel like there's a thread here. My favorite personally is Instagram. Also personally LinkedIn. To be honest, I wouldn't have gotten my job at Laticrete if it wasn't for LinkedIn.
There you go.
But I love YouTube. I love just being able to search for anything, no matter how random it is, and finding something on YouTube that is helpful. So
I'm YouTube is probably my favorite because I literally watch YouTube at home. It's on my TV, it's on my phone. I have found a new love for LinkedIn. I feel like there's something there in LinkedIn. For the future, I don't know. I feel like YouTube may be it. I don't know. Okay, for the audience, show of hands, I guess. I don't know how the best way to do it. What's your favorite? Instagram? YouTube? Okay, we got YouTube. LinkedIn? TikTok? Okay. TikTok now?
Yeah.
TikTok. Okay.
I haven't even heard Facebook.
Facebook's huge.
Yeah,
Facebook
I think
is
Facebook
huge.
is like a hidden thing. We
Well, it
broadcast
was
on
everything, and then other things.
It still is everything. The problem with LinkedIn, because the topics to conversions, clicks to LinkedIn doesn't, or Instagram doesn't have the clickable conversion. It gets a lot of likes and awareness. TikTok is awesome for the next generation. So if you want to get more 20-something-year-olds here, TikTok. And then
you heard
and then
that. You
also
heard that live. You want to get the next generation talent stone? TikTok. We're over time. John. Say
Yeah,
goodbye.
so this is the Tile Happy Hour. We normally broadcast on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. I broadcast from New York. Craig broadcasts from North Carolina. So definitely follow us. We're on all those channels. We'd love to see our audience there. Next week, hopefully we see you. Thank you so much, Allison and Sharon. We really love you being with us. This is exciting. They may hang around a little bit, so if anyone has any questions in person, we have another podcast coming in after this. So I'm going to sign off. So this is John Tedisco. I'd like to wish everybody peace, health, and happiness. Craig?
And I'm Craig, and thanks everybody for being here. Everybody in the audience, you're amazing. Let's always keep learning together and tile the listen.